Hello and welcome to Trojans Live, presented by Monster Hydro on AM 790 KBC and the USC Trojans Media Network. I am Jordan Moore. That's Sean Cody. That's our quarterback, Max Brown. And the head coach, Lincoln Riley, joins us to get it started again. The head coach interview presented by I Trust Capital Retire with Crypto Coach. Welcome. Congratulations. Another big W. And, you know, there was a lot of talk about it. USC had not had a lot of success on the farm, as we call it. Just one win there in the last 15 years. What did it mean for this group to get over that hump and grab a quality win early on in the season?
Yeah, it was critical. I mean, I think that's one of those games in the beginning of the season, you look at the schedule and you're like, this is going to be really important. I mean, for so many reasons. Your first road game, you know, as a program, your first opportunity with the conference game, especially conference games that early, I think are really, really important. It puts kind of the pressure on your camp, your early preparation, because you play such a meaningful game so early. And, you know, there's just not many teams that you know, you look at like conference races historically, there's not many teams that come out and you know, don't find a way to win that first conference game and then all of a sudden go accomplish your goals, right? So it was big, yeah, big for a lot of reasons. And historically, you're right, that was something we talked about, even though not everybody in the program has obviously been here, you know, throughout that time. It's we're all here now and we all own that, and so getting a chance to overcome that and maybe flip that a little bit was very important.
Coach, you speak about a lot of firsts for everybody, a lot of firsts for the young guys, a lot of firsts for the coaching staff, and a lot of firsts for some of the portal guys. What did you learn about your team on this first road trip and getting out there and experiencing that with Stanford?
Yeah, I thought we embraced it. You know, we said this, you know, sitting in this chair last week, that was going to be important. Just our mindset going on the road, right? Like, how do you approach this? And it's great to talk about it all week and talk about it in team meetings and all of that, but do you really go do it when it gets tough? And I thought our guys, in large part, did. I thought the team embraced it. I thought we had a great crowd there. You could tell, you know, it almost felt, you know, like a neutral site game. Yeah. I mean, really, I thought our fans were tremendous. And appreciate those fans making the trip up north to watch us. It meant a lot to our players. And yeah, we responded and found a way. It wasn't perfect. There's a lot to clean up. We're gonna have to continue to grow on. But if you can learn from big road wins like that and keep getting better, then you get a shot.
Coach, I know you've been asked this before, but I've never heard you answer. But your play call sheet, it's just a little piece of paper. I know it comes from the Mike Leach era, but how do you fit that creative an offense in a sheet of paper? And do you look at other coaches around the country with huge tag boards? Like, what are you doing there? Yeah,
me and David's are about polar opposite.
Yep.
And obviously his has worked pretty good over the years. But no, it's a you know, Leacher likes to. I call Mike Leach Leacher. He likes to. I think he likes the kind of the illusion that it's really that small. It's actually not. It's a full piece of notebook paper, and it's folded kind of 4 different ways. And so, like,
layers to it.
Yeah. So, like, for me, like, I've used the same one for so long. Like, immediately a situation comes up, I don't have to look at it. Like, I can just flip it, and I know I'm looking at just the ones I need to. As opposed, that's easier for me than looking for a whole menu and like finding where it is. I can just flip, and I'm only looking at the section that I need to. So, yeah, it's still one piece of paper. It's still pretty small relative to the rest of the world, but not as small as Leacher might make it out to be.
You're listening to head coach Lincoln Riley on Trojans Live. Coach, I wanted to start on the defensive side of the ball. The guy that led you to tackles in this one was Eric Gentry. I brought it up to these guys. Do you have a comp for him? I've watched a lot of football. I'm not sure I've seen a lot of 6'6" inside linebackers. His wingspan is over 7 feet. I mean, one of the more unique players I've ever seen play that position.
Yeah, he is unique. You know, it's a good question. There's not a lot of comps, really. I mean, that you know, normally that height is reserved for the edge.
Yeah.
So to be able to move like he can and have some of the instincts that he has as a young guy is pretty impressive. And he's done a good job. He's been very active in the middle of the defense. I know we talked a lot about in camp, just his range and the way he affects the throw game over the middle. And then I've been impressed with his physicality, with how well he's tackled, because not only has he – you know, he's not missed tackles, but majority of those tackles have been like contact and guy goes down, right? Not a lot of you know, yards after contact, which has been very important, obviously, at his position. So now we've been excited about the way he's playing. He's playing cleaner as more and more as we go. He's making less mistakes, but he's kind of always around the ball and always making plays. And obviously for a linebacker, that's about as important as it gets.
Coach, Stanford, let's stick with defense. Stanford, came out and kind of gave you that slow mesh point in the back. They really hadn't done it the week prior. I watched the film. They started doing it from the game, and I was kind of like, all right. So those kind of mid-game adjustments, how do you handle that as a team? And is it like right on the fly, we got to make an adjustment here, they're doing something new?
Yeah. No, we had a couple that we had to make and did make in game against that, and it was something that was unique. It certainly, we had no reason to think that was going to happen, and Stanford did a good job catching us off guard, and we did have to adjust. I thought on the coverage end we made some good adjustments. We were very competitive there. Really, we really had just the one. We gave it one glance ball, and other than that, I thought Blackman did a really, really good job. I thought his coverage was awesome, to be completely honest. And then run game, we got a little bit impatient on it in times, in that you feel like you're kind of
peaking, right? I want to make a play.
Yeah, and the ball's so late coming out, you kind of feel like it's time to almost transition into pass rush, and we got caught in between. So, but yeah, guys made the adjustments. We cleaned it up. We were a little bit better there at the end, and they used it some in the end when, we were pretty happy with the clock continuing to run.
Your quarterback, Caleb Williams, playing lights out. The thing that sticks out to me is he's both efficient and explosive. Sometimes when you watch college football, if a team's making big plays, maybe the efficiency takes a knock and vice versa. What maybe goes unnoticed, or what's the message weekly to Caleb to, that fine line of stay explosive but also stay on schedule and stay efficient in his game as well?
I think you have to take what's there. And I think that's at the end of the day for quarterbacks, you can't control necessarily how a team's going to play you. You can't control if they're going to camp back and give you underneath shots all day, or if they're going to start coming up and trying to crowd that and obviously give you the chance to take the ball down the field. And so you just have to be ready to take advantage of what's there. And I think his confidence is growing there as a quarterback. I think he's got a lot of confidence in our skill, in that he can dump down like the screen he dumped down to Mario, there towards the end of the second half. I mean, it's just get the ball and play to these guys, and then let them go make plays. We got a good group around you, and so don't feel the pressure that every big play has to come from a long throw, right? Just simply take what's there, and you'll frustrate the other side and have answers no matter what they do. And for a large part of the game, especially in the first half, he did a really good job of that.
Travis Dye has played a lot of football in this league. Your offensive line, you have several guys that have played a lot of football in this league. How valuable is that when you went into a Pac-12 road game and you really were able to get the run game established?
Very important, very important. I mean, you could tell, our line was ready to play, our backs were ready to play. Having Austin and Travis both back there has been a huge thing. And I think our tight ends continue to improve and do a lot of really good things in the run game as well. So that was important. We felt like we ran the ball okay against Rice. We knew we needed to take some steps and play physical and establish that early. And I think us being able to do that was one of the keys to the offense, and the team playing very well in the first half.
Coach, we're going to have number 4, the loot runner, up next. But obviously we got to see number 3 take the top off the defense, Jordan Addison. Pretty special play, staying on his feet, getting into the end zone. Is that the kind of how you want to use number 3 is kind of taken off? Is he going to be someone who mixes in everywhere, or is that kind of his specialty, is taking off the top?
Well, I think we're lucky. I mean, I think some of these guys are very complimentary of each other, and they all, I don't know that we have anybody that we're just like, hey, he's only an underneath guy, and I don't know that we have anybody that we're sitting there like, hey, he's a take the top off of it, but that's about it. Like, these guys all have, versatile skill sets. I mean, I would say you mentioned those 2 plays, and exactly right. But we throw the long ball down the field to Mario and he makes a play. We throw a couple underneath screens to Jordan and he makes plays underneath too. And that's what we've tried to recruit and will continue to try to add, is guys that you feel like can do all of that. And then you can just go call a game and not have to worry so much about who's where. I know these guys can win underneath, win down the field. It makes it easier to call it, design it, and I think it makes it easier on the quarterback too. Once again, it doesn't have to be so specific from a personnel standpoint, right? Let's dial up our best stuff and let's go play.
Turning to the defensive line, to me, it's an X factor for this team. What are you seeing from that group? What do you like, and maybe what are the areas of growth as well?
Well, I mean, you had a number of sacks in the game, and I think that and then we had a couple of turnovers. Certainly the fumble that Thule caused was a huge play in the game. So I would say very much like the rest of our team, our good is really good. We've got to be more consistent. I think at times we think a little bit too much, and we've got to turn it loose, and that's something that across the board as a team we've got to get better at. There's nothing more to it. Run the call, go exactly where we tell you to go, and go as hard and fast as you possibly can, and that's it. Like there's nothing else. Like that's it. And I think at times we're still guilty of overthinking. And then run game, we've been pretty solid up front. We just our bad have been busted assignments, and when you bust assignments and you come out of gaps like we did on the touchdown that Smith had, that ended up just kind of walking in the end zone over the right side, like you just totally come out of a gap. I mean, you're going to give good teams easy scores, and so the big thing for us, if we'll turn it loose more, we're going to make more explosive plays. We're going to be in the backfield more. And then if we can simply be in the gap that we're supposed to be in, you don't give them those easy ones, and they've got to work for everything. And when you do that, that gives you more and more opportunities to make plays as a defensive line. So excited about progress, but still, again, the whole team's very similar. There's not like one group that you're like, they're playing terrible, and there's not one group that like they got it right now, right? Like it's we all, the good's good, the bad's got to get better.
In that sense, are you where you expected? Because you had talked so much about the unique composition of this roster, and that the success of the season would depend on how quickly it was able to gel. Where do you feel like you're at on that progress bar?
Yeah, I didn't have expectations on like, well, we need to be here by this point. Like we need to get as good as we can be like yesterday. All right, you know what I mean? Like it's just you're on a race against time. You're just, how good can you possibly get? How much can we possibly trust it? How well can we reach this, guys? How close can the team get in this frame? Like I don't want to put a limit. I don't want to put expectations, and that's kind of been our talks with the guys. Like, don't worry about spending effort and time on the expectations or what you thought. Just get better. Just get better. Just get better. Just get better, and keep the sole focus there. So I'm excited about the way we're playing. I'm excited about winning 2 ball games to start off and going on the road and beating Stanford. The excitement to go to work every day with this staff, with this team has been a blast. I think we're all working hard, working long hours, and we love every minute of it right now. So like we just want to keep it going.
Well, the challenges keep coming. A really dangerous Fresno State team is coming to the Coliseum on Saturday. It's a nice late-night kick. It'll be nice and cool for everybody. No one has to worry about the heat this week. 7:30 kick. Our Trojan Tailgate show will start at 5:30. The game will be on national channel on Fox. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Max Brown, the head coach Lincoln Riley. Appreciate you joining us for one more segment. Let's get into this Fresno game. It's been a fun opponent over the years. Those guys like to come down here. They'll have some road fans in the Coliseum, and their quarterback Jake Haener is a gamer. He seems to play his best against fellow Pac-12 schools, or former. He used to be in this conference. What do you see from him when you look at him on film?
Yeah, he's a great player. He is. You can tell he's played a lot of ball. He's very poised, throws the ball well. He's obviously extremely active. He just kind of makes them right. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I think good quarterbacks really do that. Like if everything kind of happens on schedule, he's typically where he needs to be. And if it doesn't, his creativity to still give them a chance just shows up over and over and again. So certainly one of the better quarterbacks we'll play. It'll be a different type of quarterback, different type of challenge than obviously what we just played against Stanford.
Coach, overall, I mean, it must be quite an advantage to see your next 2 opponents play each other. Oregon State and Fresno State got played each other, so I'm sure you get to watch that. But what do you see from as the whole team as Fresno State plays?
A good team. I mean, like you could tell why they've won a lot of games here as of late. I mean, you turn on the tape and you kind of start looking at, all right, what's the team's strengths and then what's their weaknesses. And I just, like when you watch their football team, there's not any position group you look at them and say, all right, they're not very good, right? They're good on both fronts. Their skill is good. You got an experienced quarterback. Schematically, they do a lot of things on all sides of the ball that really challenge you. Like I think they force you to play really good ball and really quality ball because they typically do. And so well coached, a lot of experience, a lot of wins on that football team, and so we know it'll be a fun challenge.
Back to our side of things, when I look back on the USC offense in years past, there'd be weeks where we'd absolutely dice them through the air and be, all world it looked like. And then the next week, we'd face a different defensive scheme. It was man to then drop 8 or drop 8 then to man. And that change sometimes we'd struggle with. And you'd see one week where it was great, the next week not so much. That's nothing new to you. I'm sure you used to, adjusting on the fly to different schemes where an opponent one week can give you one look and then the exact opposite the next week. What's your mentality? What are the unique challenges for you when you game plan for maybe a specific defense you're going to see and then having to adjust on the fly mid-game to a new defense?
Well, I just think that's where you got to be careful about how much you truly game plan, because at that point you game plan for something specific. The risk you're always taking is, all right, if they go change and do something different, then where are you? And so for us, that's why we've always tried to stay as much as we possibly can kind of in our own lane, where we're running things that we generally don't care just a whole lot if they change. Now, do we have a specific thing here and there? Sure. I mean, like everybody does, we do, but not. We always try to make sure that's a very, very small part of our offense, and a large portion of it is things that our guys have confidence in, that we've worked over and over and over, that they know the adjustments, we know the adjustments, and we can do it very, very quickly. And I think when you do it, you put yourself at a little bit less at the mercy of, are they going to change or are they not? And you don't go chase ghosts. So that's every coach's that designs football schemes is like that's always their quandary, right? How much do we do it? How much do we stick to our stuff? I mean, that's certainly it's a different challenge week in and week out. But at the end of the day, we want to be more about being good at what we do than over scheming people for that reason exactly.
Coach, you talked about creating a sense of urgency with the fans, that the product is so good that they just can't think of anything to do on a Saturday besides come to the Coliseum. There's a bigger crowd expected on a Saturday. How important is it for you to just keep building that momentum as this project continues? Still very much early days for you, just building on the success you've had so far in front of what we expect to be a great atmosphere on Saturday.
Yeah, we got to keep within the program. We just got to keep doing our part, and I think if we're going to stay focused on that, my job's not to, not to plead people to come, right? I mean, it shouldn't be like that. And if we do our job good enough, we won't have to, right? We'll be turning people away, and people will be fighting over tickets, and that's obviously that's what we want to get it to. And so, we got to stay focused on doing the best we can and putting a great product out there. And now saying that, I would say, if you like USC football, you've probably enjoyed the last 2 weeks, and you probably ought to be there.
That's for sure.
Coach, I played for some coaches that were really maybe about messages every week. They try to get something across to their team, maybe each and every week. You had the first week opener, you get a road trip, so it's kind of the message. What's your message to the team? What do you hope they're trying to strive for this week and when you play Fresno?
Yeah, a lot of ours comes back to the kind of culture and the verbiage that we've installed with our guys throughout all the offseason, and it's pretty cool how these different scenarios come up through the year, but you're able to draw back on something as opposed to, well, let's go invent this message this week that they've never heard before, right? Or like that's, for us, we want it to be like something they can go back to. And so the general kind of theme for us, and not probably unexpected after the way the game played out the other day, is, getting full 4 quarters and doing a great job of the mental mistakes. I think that is the number one thing that continually shows up that has limited us and hurt us when we haven't played well. And we showed the team this morning. I mean, the numbers of just the plays where we don't have a mental error, right, versus the ones where we do. I mean, the numbers on both sides of the ball are just shockingly different. I mean, it's so I think that's certainly within our control, and playing a cleaner, more full football game has been kind of our rally cry this week. And we've got, like I said, some kind of verbiage within the room that we use that our guys have heard before, and they can draw back on to when we taught them, what these things really mean, and now they're able to really take it and put it to use.
It's going to be electric on Saturday night. Get your seats early, 7:30 kick, under the lights, little blackout action. I'm not sure every fan was there to see that last year. Pretty cool new tradition. So make sure you get in the Coliseum early and make a whole lot of noise. Our neighbors from the North Fresno State coming down for a big one.